Hey, you're joining me, Damien Baxter from LiveLink, on the Creators Unlocked podcast. LiveLink believes that everybody has something they can teach and something they want to learn. No stone will be left unturned as we unlock the truth behind what it really takes to succeed as a content creator online. They'll teach us some of the vital skills needed and unlock some of their secrets to engaging and monetizing from their followers. I'm honoured to be joined by none other than the video confidence coach himself, Harrison Cantel. Harrison is slingshotting his content into the next level with a mission to help business owners skyrocket their inbound lead strategy, all with the power of video. Funny story, I actually met Harrison on a dog walk in a sleepy village in Cambridgeshire. After a brief chat, I actually discovered that Harrison was a content creator. But not only were you a content creator, but here, spoiler alert, he was actually my neighbour as well. So, small world, hey Harrison.
Very small world, indeed.
So before we jump in, I have to ask, I keep seeing all over your social media, I won't ruin the surprise just yet as to which platform that is, this whole 75 hard challenge. Now, all I know is that it's preventing you coming for pizza and a drink with me. Explain yourself.
Yeah, it's more like a salad and a water. But 75 hard is 75 days of, I called it mental torture to begin with, and physical torture. Mm-hmm. It's actually now part of my lifestyle, which is amazing. So 45 minutes indoor exercise, 45 minutes outdoor exercise every single day, 4 litres of H2O, so lots of toilet breaks, reading, just all round goodness, something that I just was missing from my life, and I feel amazing.
Where did you hear about it?
On a podcast, funnily enough. Someone was talking about it and they were like, you need to do it at least once in your life.
So it's almost like this big detox.
Yeah, and 75 days is long enough for it to become a lifestyle.
And how many days are you in?
I'm exactly halfway through right now.
How are you?
Yes.
Wow. And how are
you?
you?
Feel good. Yeah, I love it. I'm a bit of a pizza fanatic, and it's been difficult to give it up, but it now doesn't bother me. If you were sat here eating a Meat Feast pizza, I would be fine with it, I think.
Okay, yeah. And the training, you said you're doing 4 to 5 minutes twice a day.
Yeah. So
how do you fit that in?
With great difficulty, to be honest. I'm doing 45 minutes boxing and then 45 minutes outdoor walk or bike. So yeah, that's probably the hardest part, is fitting it into the day, especially on a day like today.
Yeah, I guess you've got to get up super early, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Being my neighbour, I must admit, I open my curtains in the morning and often see you cycle past.
There you go. See?
Yeah, looking very, very fresh-faced.
I'm doing it.
All right, well, I'm going to jump straight in anyway, Harrison. So thank you so much for joining us here in the London studio. So I want you to cast your mind well back to when you were sort of fresh out of university. You're going to chuck a year at us. When was that?
That was 2015 I graduated.
So 7 years coming on 8 years.
Quick maths.
Yeah, mental maths. I was always good at school at mental maths, actually. Yeah, that was always my thing. So you're fresh out of uni.
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah.
You dabbled in loads of jobs, including, correct me if I'm wrong, you were a bodyguard.
Correct.
Yeah. How's the boxing going with the whole bodyguard thing?
Good, yeah. Picking up on some old habits.
Nice. You worked a few nightclubs.
Yeah, I did.
The list goes on a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, a bit of a random array of, I wouldn't call them jobs, money-earning opportunities.
And what did you do at university?
Media.
Okay.
But nothing to do with anything I'm doing today, just to clarify.
Okay.
So it was events and radio. I wanted to be the next Charlie Slough on Radio 1 Extra.
Okay, nice. So that was the dream.
Yeah.
All right. So then, moving on from that, you fell into marketing. Did you fall into marketing? Am I right?
Yeah, head first, to be honest. I was given a marketing position at the university I graduated at 2 days before I graduated, which was, in essence, it was amazing, but at the time it was like the worst thing ever, because I was so set on moving back home because I hadn't secured a job. And then this kind of came to light that there was a position going, and I was put forward, no interview, nothing, just straight in.
Okay, so you were working very much the 9 to 5. Yeah. You were working job in marketing, and then one day you decided you were going to create this personal brand, which is I am H Creative, Harrison Cantel. So, question for you then. Most content you put out there is on LinkedIn, is that right?
Now it is, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we might just delve into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So most of the content you put out is very much around this personal brand of Harrison Cantel. Yeah. So my question to you is, what is the significance of continuously posting content of yourself?
Instantaneously humanizing my brand and business. That's the shortest, most straightforward answer. That every day I post, I think this piece of content is instantly humanizing my brand. It's instantly allowing people like yourself and anyone else that's looking at my content, okay, we get who Harrison is, we want to consume his content more, or we don't want to consume his content. Either way, it's a win-win situation, because those that don't want to consume it, fantastic, they're not my ideal clients. And those that do will hopefully end up being my ideal clients, or at the very least part of my tight-knit community.
So I guess you, just again going back, you used to work in marketing and you were very much doing the marketing for a business.
Yeah.
Now you are marketing a personal brand, your own personal brand.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of transferable skills that you took from that job that you're applying to your own personal brand, or is it completely different?
Yeah, I think more so lessons than things I'm taking across, in terms of from a business working in a corporate 9-to-5 job, which I have done a few times. I learned that there was the lack of humanization of the brand and business. So these big corporate firms were so focused on sales and numbers, they lacked the personal touch. The customer journey was never at the forefront of the mission. They said it was, but it wasn't.
Just lost sight.
Yeah. So for me, it was so important as a personal brand, content creator, whatever you want to call me, that the focus was on people. And everyone that joins my coaching program, for example, there has to be that instant connection. I would not just accept any Tom, Dick and Harry into my coaching program.
You're quite picky, aren't you?
Yeah.
And rightly so. You are creating a community. So why would you want to let somebody into that community that's disruptive and jeopardizes that relationship?
Yeah, and I have to think of the needs and expectations of the people that are already in that community, and whether this person would be a good fit not only for me and the business, but also to that community that already exists. Because ultimately, if there is someone that comes in that's disruptive, that could cause issues for the rest of the people in there who are paying their money.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, I'm going to bring this to money. Now you've just said that topic. We've asked this question on previous podcasts that we've run, caused a little bit of controversy. Obviously, there's differences of opinions about how much information we should divulge when we're talking about money. I'm not going to ask you just yet. I'm going to just sort of get to that. But I'm going to speak specifically about your personal brand on LinkedIn. Rarely do I ever speak to content creators that are active and monetized from more than one platform. Where do you make your money?
LinkedIn.
Just LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because I was putting in graft on Instagram for 2 to 3 years solid with this alongside my full-time job. And I was getting sales, I was getting coaching calls and whatnot, but it never to the extent that I'm getting from LinkedIn now in the last 6 months, which, by the way, I've only been seriously promoting and creating on LinkedIn for the last 6 to 8 months. So 90% of my business at the moment comes through LinkedIn, a platform which I was always told was, it's only for recruitment, you have to wear a suit and tie. And now suddenly it's my focus platform. I rely on it, in a way, to bring in business.
Why LinkedIn? Did you see someone doing it and thought, hey, I could do that? Or was it just was it more scientific than that?
The opposite. I saw no one doing what I was doing. And I jumped into that gap feet first, which is video. LinkedIn are probably 10 years behind any other platform when it comes to video. You can't even go live on LinkedIn, which is insane considering you had Periscope, 10 years ago. So for me, I saw an opportunity. Instagram was becoming a little bit too saturated with the video side of things, and I was no longer the only one talking about camera confidence and whatnot. So I thought, well, I need a new platform, and in my opinion, LinkedIn is a much easier way to get directly to CEOs, managing directors, whatever, and executives, and that I saw an opportunity and went for it.
From a digital marketing perspective, super nerdy marketing comment here, but on LinkedIn and your retargeting, because you've got so much information on the platform, name, job titles, age, gender, the list goes on. You can be so specific with the types of digital marketing and retargeting that you're doing, as opposed to like TikTok or Instagram, where you have nothing. You have like a social handle, you might get geographic area, may get age, you may get sort of a topic. But in terms of like the very specific targeting that you can do, LinkedIn is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I love it as a platform, and I can safely say that LinkedIn has changed my life. And anyone watching that works at LinkedIn, get me invited down because I need that picture with the sign.
Okay, cool. So is it just LinkedIn that you're making money from? Have you made money anywhere else?
I have, yeah. So I know you're going to ask me this at some point, so I'm not going to go into in too much detail, but Instagram was my focus platform. I recently had a pretty big opportunity come from Instagram.
Okay.
Everyone seems to think, it must be from LinkedIn because he's so active on LinkedIn, but it wasn't. But it was 2 days after I was 2 days before, that I was going to not give up Instagram, but definitely not spend any time and energy on it. I was just going to kind of tick over with it.
So you're going to keep us in a bit of suspense about that one until
Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Well, not a cliffhanger because you are going to tell people. I know you are, but yeah.
I am definitely going to tell people because I know the answer. But I'm, for the purpose of this podcast, to string people along a little bit, as people like to do with these marketing strategies, I'm going to tell you later on. So, next question.
Yeah.
The big one.
Yeah.
How much money do you make from LinkedIn?
So I'm a bit old-fashioned when it comes to how much, and I knew this was going to be a question.
You knew I was going to ask you.
And I should have really pre-planned an answer, but I don't like to talk about the exact amount of money I'm earning because I think it's doing a bit of a disservice to my current clients who are spending their hard-earned cash on what I'm helping them with. Now, what I will say is that I left full-time employment, a decent pay packet, decent benefits with it. A very corporate environment. I left that, and within the first month I was making probably triple what I would take home in the 9-to-5 job, which is all I would say to someone like you that's asked me that question. That would be my most direct answer. But I am loving every second of it, and can't imagine ever going back to 9-to-5 employment.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Genuinely mean that. You've clearly seen an opportunity and you've jumped on it. A lot of people out there, including myself at different stages in life, are so scared of that idea of transition, so scared of that idea of the unknown, where they just do not take that leap. There's never a good time to make that transition. No. And I tell you what, if you don't make that transition now, or you don't make that leap now, whether that's a new job opportunity, whether that's buying a house, whether that's moving, whether that's going traveling, whatever it might be, I guarantee it's never going to get easier as you get older.
No. It gets harder.
It gets harder, exactly.
The more you look for that right time, the less likely you are to find it. And as you rightly said, there's no such thing as a right time. Perfection, I don't believe, exists because your perception of perfect is different to mine, right? And again, your perception of the right time is different to mine. So I don't believe there is ever a right time. Yes, I had systems and processes in place prior to leaving. I didn't just wake up and go, I quit, which a lot of people do, and fair play to them. This was a calculated risk. So
talk me through that a little bit. So did you have a bit of an overlap between your marketing job and this IMH Creative, the personal brand that we see today? And then did you say, okay, I'm making enough money now where I can quit my job and focus on this 100%? Or did you say, I've made my first 100 quid, I can replicate that, I can scale that, I'm going?
Yeah, so there were two things. So first, I was in a fortunate position to be really, really close with my team at the 9-to-5 job and my manager more specifically. So they knew, I didn't hide this side hustle, whatever you want to call it, they knew. And actually, when I did leave, I worked with them on a freelance basis for a few months until they found someone to fill the position. So it was like the best outcome really for both of us.
Yeah.
But what I did say to myself was that I wanted 3 months of the equivalent 9-to-5 pay, so 3 months of wages, there as security for if it did go wrong.
And so far it hasn't.
No, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't have let it go wrong.
No.
I would have done everything in my power to make sure that it didn't go wrong.
And in terms of your well-being, do you feel much happier now in your role or in your life, I suppose? Yeah,
I think more financial freedom is obviously amazing, but to be honest, more importantly than that is time and location freedom. Time is something I didn't have that I now have. I can afford to come and speak to lovely, amazing humans like yourself today.
Thank you.
Which is great. And I wouldn't be able to do that. It would have been like, I've got a doctor's appointment from work. I have to sneak off for a few hours. So that's great. Location freedom, probably haven't utilized that as much. But just traveling abroad for a week just as a change of scenery. There's nothing stopping me from doing that in terms of my work capacity. I just haven't done it yet.
You just need good Wi-Fi and you can go anywhere.
Yeah, this is the thing, yeah.
I know you're quite particular about the type of equipment that you have and your camera equipment and your microphone. So I guess that's probably a bit of a barrier as well. But generally, it sounds like you can literally go anywhere and just work.
Yeah, on paper I could, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm not going to string everyone along for much longer.
Okay.
You recently announced to us on the podcast, but also on social media, that you attracted a multi-billion-dollar inbound lead. The video confidence coach who helps people with their inbound lead strategy has only gone and done it. He's attracted a multi-billion-dollar inbound lead. Now, without saying any names, Microsoft, talk to me about how that came about. So just before you answer the question, in terms of using that as a channel of monetization, did that brand deal, did Microsoft come to you because you had a certain number of followers? Or was it the type of content that you were putting out there that attracted them?
100% the type of content. No, 80% the type of content, 20% I fit the person they were looking for.
Did they tell you what that person looked like?
Big head, beard. No, they didn't, but they did say that they'd been consuming my content over the space of like 6 months.
Interesting. So they were watching
Didn't follow me. Not that I would have known, because it's representatives of Microsoft. It wasn't like the Microsoft profile viewing my story. So I wouldn't have known anyway, but they very, very clever how they did it. And after 6 months reached out and here we are.
You thought it was a bit of a prank at first, didn't you?
Did indeed, yeah. Did a bit of secret agent work to try and work out if it was legit. Took me a while. Was very kind of blunt on my response. Just thought it was a lie.
It's really good though. So I mean, I just want to focus more on them followers. So you said it was very much just the type of content you were putting out and that you fit the bill. Do you think they would have ever found you had you had 100, 500 followers on LinkedIn? Or do you think that the fact that you had a foundation of followers, like a few thousand, was enough for it to open the doors and ultimately get that recognition and be found by a company like Microsoft?
In all honesty, I don't think they were actually bothered about the followers or following, because the project that I was involved with them and what I did with them had nothing to do with my community. It was not going to benefit my community whatsoever. It was for a product that Microsoft were releasing. So the reason they approached me and that we signed on the dotted line was because the content that I was creating, and more importantly, the message I was promoting, was exactly what they wanted. And that's the best part about it. I didn't go and work with Microsoft and did what they told me to do. They specifically said to me, we want you to come in and be 100% yourself and do what you're already doing, but for us. So
in no way, shape or form were you micromanaged by Microsoft?
The only thing that they said was don't swear, and I've got a potty mouth and I'm doing everything in my power to not say a naughty word today, but that was the one thing. They were like, just no swearing.
Yeah, okay. But other than that, just do your thing.
100% myself the whole way through.
Fantastic. All right, so staying on the topic of money then, what advice would you give to somebody who's received their first brand deal? So would you say that there's scope to negotiate, or do you think that could ruin the whole deal straight away?
No, for sure. There's space to negotiate. I negotiated. It started off as one video that I was creating for them, and I pitched 6 because I believed in what they were doing, and I believed that I could bring a certain element to what they were doing based on the first video that we agreed on. I thought, well, actually, I've got 5 more ideas that would go very well. Would you like to hear them? Yes. Okay, brilliant. We'll go with that. So, yes, you can negotiate by 100% put your views across. You've got to value yourself, your time, your expertise. They've approached me. Okay, I wasn't sat there going, yes, I'll do that right. I was, again, 100% myself. I did not want to lose that opportunity. And to be honest with you, even if there was no money involved, I would have taken the opportunity. And I'm not ashamed to say that.
Hey, it's Mel at LiveLink here. We're making it possible for creators and experts to teach anything online. It is the easiest way to monetize your audience. We'll even sort out your video editing and email marketing for you, leaving you to do what you do best, creating. LiveLink.vip, where creators and experts teach.
So why negotiate for 6 then if it wasn't about the money?
Because I wanted more to talk about. I wanted more to talk about like we're doing now.
So it's more brand.
Yeah, so interestingly, most people would presume that if you work with a big company like that and you sign a deal, your life changes because of that business. It's actually what you do with the opportunity which leads to other things like this and other opportunities. So it's how I speak about it. So now I tell my clients and show my clients the process I used or what I did to attract that inbound lead. So then they go, great, well, that means we can do it as well, right? So that gives them the motivation as well. And it's still I'm still in shock over the whole thing anyway, because it's just me creating content.
I'm not. I've always told you. What have I always said?
I have a face that's memorable or something like that.
You have a very marketable face.
Marketable face.
You have a very marketable face. I've always told you that. So when you came to me and said, I've got this deal with Microsoft, wasn't surprised at all.
You were like, your face, it's that big face of yours.
It's that big face.
It's that big shiny face.
All right, so you're telling me it wasn't about the money. Fine. Were you just drawn in by the big shiny lights that were Microsoft?
You don't believe me, do you?
I do believe you. 100% believe you. Okay. I don't think you'd ever lie to me.
No.
You're a human brand that I trust.
Good.
But was it the shiny lights of Microsoft that drew you in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, it was. I can't remember if it was the shiny lights of Microsoft or whether it was Bill Gates popping up in my DMs. I can't remember which way around it was. No, it was the shiny lights. And for a small creator that has only been self-employed for less than a year, that was pretty huge for me. Like I cried.
Good.
I came off the Zoom call with them and I cried.
In happiness, though, yeah.
Yeah, in happiness, in shock, in disbelief. And I was like, what do I do now? Like, who do I speak? Who can I tell this news that's going to understand?
Well, I really hope Microsoft listen to this and hear this story, because I think they'll love to hear the behind the scenes and what that really means to, personal brands like yourself.
Yeah, it just gave me and we shouldn't seek validation. I don't believe in it. But at the same time, if I come in here and say, Damien, your jumper looks absolutely stupendously beautiful on you.
Oh, thanks, mate.
You're going to like that.
Of course.
So it's nice to hear that. And for me, it was a huge, like, you're doing good. Keep going, buddy. Like, keep doing your thing, keep being yourself. Because that's ultimately what I did for them, was just being myself.
Were you at a stage, going off topic a little bit, were you at a stage then where you felt like you needed that pick-me-up?
Oh, yes.
Were you at the end of your tether with it?
Yeah, it was when I was kind of falling out of love with Instagram, and I'd only known Instagram up until that point. So it's really difficult for me to sit there and say, I'm going to stop Instagram. And then suddenly I get an email and it's from...
So were they following you on Instagram?
They were just consuming. They weren't following. They're very clever about it. They weren't following me because I could have found out. They'd follow me. They were just consuming my content.
So it's quite interesting because you got that big deal on Instagram, but now 99% of your content and 99% of the business that you're generating, the inbound leads, the money, physical cash that's coming in, is as a direct result of content that you're posting or the community that you're building on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because when I shared the news on LinkedIn, everyone was like, the power of LinkedIn. I was thinking, nope, because it was Instagram firstly. And I would say it's the power of personal branding, it's the power of consistency. That's what it is. I was showing up every single day as I am now, on and off the camera. That's it. There's no magic sauce. It's just being yourself. And if a company or business or brand or person likes that and respects that, then and that's what they're looking for, then they'll reach out.
It's funny, we always have quite interesting debates as well about the importance of, follower numbers.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with Lottie at the Copy Club.
Yeah.
Which runs, it's sort of it is a marketing community. And what she was saying is that with 3,000 followers back in the day, that's the term that we all use nowadays, now we're millennials. Back in the day, she used to be able to get into any restaurant and get a free meal in London simply by telling them that she was a food critic with 3,000 followers.
Yeah.
So that's because these small local businesses didn't really know the significance between 3,000 highly targeted followers and just 3,000 Instagram robots or whatever it might be. Yeah. So question to you is, do you feel like that there is now a direct link or a direct correlation between monetization and the total number of followers? let me rephrase.
Okay.
All right. So would you have ever got that Microsoft deal with just a few hundred followers? I know I just asked you that, as opposed to say a few thousand. Surely the fact that you've had a few thousand followers open the door and ultimately let Microsoft find you.
We'll never know the answer because we don't know how they've come across my content.
True.
But my response to that would be, it does not matter.
So let me rephrase again, rephrase, PPS,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Do you think that local businesses that aren't in marketing, we're talking about local, sorry to pick out very specific people, we're talking about local hair salons, local fitness gyms, local bakeries, local butchers, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
they will go and look for content creators online or influencers based on the number of followers? Or do you think they will do quite specific research into how targeted their audience is and how relevant it is to their brand as a bakery, for example?
Controversial opinion, but it's something I can speak on because I've had this experience recently. Small businesses, and the majority, I can't speak for all of them, the majority that I've worked with will look to the 100,000 follower influencers to come into their business and change their life or change their business. That's just not how it works. And I know because I've been on both sides. I've been the one, when I had a clothing brand, I've been the one that got in celebrities thinking my life would change because a celebrity is wearing my t-shirt. I've also been on the other end of it, where I've had recently a small business that I work with on a filming basis, got in an influencer who had the same amount of followers as me, but because they're calling themselves an influencer, they were kind of bought in to help scale the business and raise recognition. I think there's a lack of understanding of the power of micro-influencers or just content creators in general. The following or follow account, to me, is irrelevant. It's how tight-knit that community is. I have a small community.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things. To me, it's huge, but it's a small, tight-knit community. And my purpose is to be top of mind to that community when they think video.
And I think you've actually got that. I think that certainly a lot of people within my community, and I know we do share quite a few people within our community, they think video confidence. Do you know what? Get rid of the confidence. They just think video, and they do think Harrison Cantel, I think. But I guess what I'm getting at is, how do you as a small business, a small local business or a small brand that knows literally nothing about marketing, knows literally nothing about social media, old school traditional businesses, where do they even start? Like, how do they even know who to go for? I see, imagine if I'm running a local bakery, as I just said, and I've got, I see a guy online or a girl online that's got 100,000 followers, 1 million followers. I'm like, do you know what? I'm going to just chance it with them. And they get me no results. But then I see someone online with, say, 5,000 followers that's highly targeted, 5,000. They're all bread critics, let's say, that's going to get me significantly more business. It's a minefield for them.
So if I put myself in the shoes of these small business owners, salons, bakeries, etc., I'm looking for someone that could be an advocate of my business. I'm not looking for someone to pay to come in and pretend they like my bread. I'm looking for someone to come in, eat my bread, and go, that's some good bread. Like that's the fluffy bread that I want. Then you get them in to promote the business. You can pay someone as much money as you want. You can pay Beyonce, I think it's like $1 million for an Instagram post. Is that going to change your business? I don't know. I'm not convinced, depending on the business. If she comes into the bakery and eats the bread and says it's the best bread in the world, okay, maybe you'll get some traction. Is that going to last forever? No. Because now people, we're wise. We see through it. We see through the advertising. You need people to come into the business that actually like the product to then talk about the product and the business.
Okay.
You can't force it. You can't force brand loyalty and trust.
No, it comes back to this humanization thing that you were talking about.
Yeah.
No, agree. So LiveLink believes that everyone has something that they can teach. When was that moment that you realized that you had something valuable to offer and to teach? When was that light bulb moment?
It took me ages.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a natural born salesperson. I've always struggled with selling who I am and what I do. And again, it comes into this falling into things, I guess. Call it luck, call it whatever you want. The moment I realized was when I was putting out content about how to be yourself on Instagram at the time and how to be yourself on camera. And people were commenting going, I'm really struggling with this. Business owners, successful business owners, I'm really struggling with this. I don't know how to be myself on camera. I feel so awkward. I'm great off camera, rubbish on it. That's when I was like, well, I've overcome this challenge. I used to be camera shy and now I'm the confidence guy, right? So I've had that transformation with no external help whatsoever, just my own exercises that I set myself. So I was like, well, I can help people. And that's exactly where it started.
And you saw a market for that.
Well, I messaged all these people that were commenting going, I hate the camera, I'm scared of it. And like, so did I, but now I don't. Let's spend an hour for 70 quid or whatever and I'll cure you. Then I realized that in 1 hour you can't cure something that's a lifelong thing, which is being nervous or not, lacking confidence or whatever. And that's when I kind of transformed it and it evolved into what it is today, which is a group coaching environment.
It's amazing because we're moving more and more towards video as well, certainly on social media. You just look at all these reels popping up on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, they're all sort of going down this reel route. Maybe not so much LinkedIn yet, but I suspect they will do eventually. It is, we as a nation, we as a world, we absorb so much content, visual content. We're so drawn in, aren't we, by these reels? I mean, I can quite happily just sit at home on my phone and see a reel, and then another one pops up and another one. And before I know it, half an hour's gone. It's so addictive.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a rabbit hole. TikTok especially, I'm awful for it. I'm like, every day I'm like, I need to delete TikTok. But no, I don't, because it gives me so much inspiration for my content and it shows me what's working and what's not. And I'm like, I'm just using it in a business sense. And then I'm like, someone's carving a pineapple with a straw, and then you've got this, and I could just learn how to skip. And it's a minefield, and it's very important to set the boundaries on a personal level. Yeah, I can't do it, but if you can, great, good for you.
But you know what? What's great for you? You are very much in that niche of video. Yeah, and we are in a world where video and visual content is significantly on the rise. There's a big opportunity.
Yeah,
bigger than the opportunity that you saw maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think more and more people are now more comfortable admitting that they're uncomfortable on camera. Before it was like, well, I'm not showing weakness. I'm a CEO and I've been doing this for 10 years. Of course I can talk on camera. It's very, very difficult if you don't put the right steps in place. And it's a mindset thing. It really is a mindset thing. And a lot of my coaching revolves around the mindset element. And that's exactly how I overcame it myself, was mindset.
Yeah, no, I think certainly within our working world, we are becoming more and more modern, make way for the Gen Z,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, so that sounds really good. And maybe I'll ask you in 6 months' time how much money you're making again, and see if I can get an answer.
I probably won't.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I always ask this question, and I'm going to ask you as well. So you fall into this category of a micro-influencer. Now, I know how much you love that word influencer, but you influence people every day with what you're doing and the content that you put out there. So just wind that back a bit. So a micro-influencer is somebody, or it's defined as somebody with less than 15,000 followers. So I read on, I think it was Sprout Social. So there's a big debate at the moment about that small businesses and brands should approach creators that fall into this micro-influencer category. And the reason being is exactly what we've been talking about. It is because micro-influencers have a higher engagement, but they also have a more targeted audience. So the stats would lead us to believe. So what's your experience of this? Do you find that you personally being a micro-influencer or falling in that category of micro-influencer is getting approached by more and more smaller brands? So do businesses and brands see your worth as a micro-influencer?
No. Any other questions?
Yeah.
No, they don't. And again, it's this whole thing. We kind of grow up surrounded by influencers and YouTubers and 100,000 subscribers and millions of followers and blah, 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 and that's what you should aspire to. It's rubbish. I'd rather have 5,000 loyal, like-minded people in my community than 5 million people that don't really care about what I'm doing. They just follow me for maybe the wrong reasons. Now, would my opinion be different if I did have 5 million followers? I don't know, because I don't have 5 million followers. But what I will say is there's a massive misunderstanding And I think too many people in businesses, especially big businesses, presume that 100,000 followers equals £100,000 or dollars or whatever currency. That is not the case. I know many creators with 100,000 plus followers that are really struggling from a business point of view.
Do businesses, small businesses, see your worth with 5,000 followers, let's say? Or do they just disregard you because they think you're not worth their investment?
I've never been approached by a small business. I've never been approached by a small business that's come to me and said, because you have 5,000 followers, we want you to create content for us.
But do you think if you had 500,000 followers, they would say that to you?
Potentially more so. To be honest with you, I'd like to think that it comes down to the person rather than the metrics.
Yeah.
So as a small business owner, if I was owning a bakery or salon or whatever, I'm approaching you because of you. The numbers associated, great, but you could have 100,000 followers that are based in Dubai. Well, we're in London, so no one's going to come from Dubai to London to buy some bread. So from my perspective, it's the person. Call it cliche, call it cringe. That's the bottom line. People buy from people, and I know that's thrown around a lot, but it's something I swear by. And I buy into people, not businesses.
I actually agree.
Yes, he agrees.
I am in total
agrees
agreement.
with me.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. People do buy into people. I mean, even going back to my university days, I was very much into mountaineering and rock climbing, and I was convinced at university I was going to join the rock climbing club. Yeah. I didn't. I joined the kayaking club. And do you know what? It was because the president of the kayaking club was just a really good guy.
Yeah.
And that's why I joined. And it was for no other reason. Yeah. It just so happened that I then went on to do more rock climbing after university. But you're absolutely right. People buy into people. I'm also a big advocate of that.
Yeah, and all of the opportunities that I've ever had in my life have been through knowing someone or having a connection with a person that's either helped me, guided me, advised me in some way, shape or form. Even back to the doorman, bodyguard thing, like that all happened through someone.
Yeah.
Who I still speak to on a daily basis now.
Yeah.
So I know the whole thing that your network is your net worth. It is. It really is.
No, really appreciate that. Thanks, Harrison.
You're very welcome.
We're actually coming to the end now.
Oh,
but
what?
I know, it flies by, doesn't it?
Wow, I was just
Absolutely
getting-
flies
just
by. It's
getting,
getting warmed up. We'll have to
warmed
do,
up, yeah, it's
we'll have
nice,
to do
yeah.
a Harrison Cantel part 2 when you've got
two.
500,000 followers and see what that conversation looks like.
Yeah.
But genuinely, really, really big thank you for joining us here today. We appreciate you here at LiveLink, and we love the fact that you've been able to join us today. Keep doing what you're doing, because we think your content is informative, hilarious, and captivating. So
Thank you for having me, and
we'll keep watching.
keep doing what you guys are doing, because you're giving people a platform, people like me a platform to teach and help others, and you've got some amazing, you've got like basketball coaches, you've got religious groups on there teaching. There was another weird and wonderful one the other day you mentioned about, but yeah, you're giving people a platform which is very difficult to build on your own. So you're giving people the support. So thank you for having me.
That's much appreciated. Thank you. I didn't expect that little sales video. Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome.
But no, yeah, thank you again, and do join us again and tell us all about what you're up to.
Will do. See you later.
Ciao.